Developed with the initial intent of being a GZ Doom mod, Supplice has evolved into a stylish standalone indie game that is a throwback to the boomer shooters that made gaming what it is today. Supplice released in early access on Steam on April 6th of 2023 and was immediately met with very positive reception. The first early access release offers up the first of 6 planned episodes. Each episode is said to contain 5 fully fleshed out story missions infested with an army of monstrous enemies just begging to be turned into a bloody pulp with your powerful and artistically enticing arsenal of sci-fi weaponry. Episode 1 offers up 5 different weapons ranging from a pneumatic mining drill that can shoot concussive blasts to a handheld mortar that lobs incendiary grenades. Each weapon has a unique and useful secondary attack function, such as being able to fire 3 shotgun shells at the same time, or being able to burst fire your SMG with precision. During my playthrough of Episode 1, I counted 9 unique enemy types, all with distinct visual designs and attack functions. You've got your standard mutated rifle and shotgun soldiers that you would expect from any Doom-style game. There's flying monsters with razor-sharp teeth that look like something straight out of Stephen King's 1995 miniseries, The Langoliers. There's an enemy that looks like a Stranger Things Demogorgon that is addicted to steroids and spends all of his free time at the gym. And there's an enemy that is very reminiscent of everyone's favorite 80s sci-fi monster, the Predator. Among a few others, of course. The art style is pretty unique and basically looks like a scaled-up HD version of games from the Doom 2 era. You know how sometimes older games look better in your memory than they do in reality? Well, Supplice is kinda like if that memory was reality. The graphics are crisp and colorful, but retain the pixelated art style from back in the day. Each mission is fairly linear, with a few interconnecting points here and there. You have your standard goals of finding color-coded keycards to unlock the matching colored doors, and finding buttons that'll transform your environment in a way that allows you to progress forward. As you might expect, Supplice also offers many secret collectibles and hidden rooms within each mission to reward player exploration. Despite being mostly linear, the level design is very intuitive and visually engaging, with each mission having a unique visual theme, and many of the arenas within the levels can be completely transformed with the press of a button to offer new gameplay and enemy encounters. The levels are quite large, and depending on your play style, are generally going to take you anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to complete. Due to the fact that the levels are fairly large and there's a ton of secrets to find, the game offers a really nice dynamic map that lists out all of the major points of interest and can track your movements in real time. The player movement in the game is very old school feeling, as you would expect. You sprint around the levels at breakneck speed, there's no jumping or crouching, and your movement has a bit of momentum attached to it, meaning that it can often feel like you are running on ice, due to the fact that your character doesn't stop moving immediately when you do. This can feel a bit weird at times, but you eventually get used to it. The game does have a very intense and exaggerated head bob, which I did take a while to get used to, although I could see this being a negative for some players that get motion sickness easily. Might be nice to have an option in the future to disable that. The game has a surprisingly well thought out story for this type of genre, and you'll be encountering quite a lot of narrative in the form of text on in-game computer screens. Not only is there primary narrative text that directly relates to the overarching story and objectives, but there's also a healthy amount of optional secondary text that you can discover along the way if you wish to learn more about the lore. But if you're the kind of person that doesn't enjoy reading a lot of text, or maybe you're just purely interested in the gameplay, you will be glad to hear that you can skip through all of the text if you want to with the press of a button. Now, I personally enjoy knowing what the story is, but even if you yourself do decide to skip through all of the text, you will still be able to navigate the missions perfectly fine, due to the fact that the levels and objectives are laid out in a manner that makes everything easy to understand. As far as the save and load system is concerned, the only autosave to speak of is when you first start a new mission. Other than that, it's up to you to do manual saves. This can be a bit frustrating at times if you're playing a mission for 45 minutes straight and end up dying near the end, only to discover that you now need to restart the entire mission because you didn't do a manual save. In my opinion, there needs to be autosaves every 15 minutes or so, and it would also be really nice if you could choose to load up individual missions from the main menu once you've unlocked them. As it stands currently, there's no way to access individual missions other than a save file. The only current option is to select an entire episode and start from the beginning. The soundtrack in Supplice is an interesting one. It kinda has a sorta Japanese electric pop sort of tone to it. Now, it's not a bad soundtrack, but at times I think it can feel a bit too warm and jovial for some of the game's environments and visual settings. Personally, I thought the music in the first mission clashed a bit with the gameplay and setting, although I would say that the soundtrack did get a lot better with each passing mission. As with all music though, it's totally subjective, and if you don't like it, well, you can just turn it off in the settings menu and load up some Doom music in the background to slay some monsters to. To wrap this review up, I'd say I had a ton of fun with episode 1 of Supplice. The visual style is refreshing, the gameplay is simple and fun, the weapons are all useful and well balanced, the story has enough to keep me interested, and the level design is on point. It is stated that they plan to release a new episode every 2 to 3 months that it's in early access. The game is currently priced at $15 in early access, with the planned price of the full release being a bit closer to $20. So if you're interested in these types of shooters, I'd fully recommend picking up Supplice sooner than later and supporting a cool indie developer.